The images are stark. Streets once bustling with life now filled with the roar of protests. Supermarket shelves, once abundant, now sit eerily empty. Lines for food stretch for blocks. A daily testament to a nation on its knees. This is Venezuela, a country rich in resources, yet mired in one of the most severe economic and humanitarian crises of the 21st century. How did a nation with the world's largest proven oil reserves fall into such a profound state of collapse? To understand the present, we must look to the past. The story of modern Venezuela is inextricably linked with oil. For decades, a flood of petrodollars fueled the economy, funding social programs and creating an illusion of prosperity. But this reliance on a single commodity created a fragile foundation. When global oil prices were high, the country thrived. When they fell, the economy faltered. This cycle of boom and bust set the stage for a dramatic political shift. Enter Hugo Chavez. A charismatic and polarizing figure, Chavez rose to power in 1999 on a wave of popular discontent with the old political establishment. He promised a Bolivarian revolution, a socialist movement aimed at redistributing wealth and empowering the poor. Initially, high oil prices allowed his government to fund extensive social missions, known as misiones, providing healthcare, education, and subsidized food for millions of Venezuelans who had long felt ignored. It was a time of hope and empowerment. His government nationalized key industries, from oil and telecommunications to agriculture and banking. Price controls were implemented on basic goods and tended to make them affordable for everyone. For a time, it seemed to work. Poverty rates fell, and many felt a newfound sense of inclusion, but critics warned of the dangers of this approach. They argued that seizing private companies, undermining property rights, and imposing rigid controls would cripple the country's productive capacity. When Chavez died in 2013, he handpicked his successor, Nicolas Maduro. Maduro inherited a deeply polarized country and an economy already showing signs of serious strain. The government's vast spending, coupled with declining domestic production and a complex currency control system, had created significant distortions, and then the bottom fell out. In 2014, global oil prices plummeted, and Venezuela's economic house of cards began to collapse. The lifeline of petrodollars was severed. Without the hard currency to import goods, shortages became rampant. First, it was luxury items, then essential medicines, and finally, basic food staples. The price controls, meant to help, now had a devastating effect. It became unprofitable for local businesses to produce goods, exacerbating the scarcity. Hyperinflation took hold, rendering the currency, the bolivar, virtually worthless. Life savings were wiped out overnight. A monthly salary could barely buy a few days' worth of food. The human cost has been staggering. We see it in the faces of the people. The tired eyes of a mother who can't find milk for her child. The frustration of a father whose wages have evaporated. The despair of the elderly who can't afford medicine. Hospitals, once symbols of the revolution's progress, became places of desperation, lacking basic supplies from antibiotics to surgical gloves. Malnutrition, a problem once thought eradicated, returned with a vengeance, especially among children. Blackouts became a regular feature of life, plunging cities into darkness for hours, sometimes days, crippling what remained of the economy and adding another layer of misery to daily existence. Access to clean water became a luxury. The infrastructure, neglected for years, began to crumble under the weight of the crisis. In response to the growing hardship, the streets erupted. Millions of Venezuelans took to protesting, demanding change, demanding a future. The government's response was often severe. The military, a key pillar of support for Maduro's government, was deployed to maintain order. Clashes between demonstrators and security forces became common, resulting in arrests, injuries, and a deepening of the political chasm dividing the nation. The political situation grew increasingly tense. The opposition-controlled National Assembly was stripped of its powers, and a new, pro-government Constituent Assembly was created. A move condemned internationally as a power grab. Presidential elections. boycotted by the main opposition parties and deemed fraudulent by many countries. Solidified Maduro's hold on power. The international community became deeply divided, with some nations imposing sanctions on the Maduro government, while others continued to offer their support. This perfect storm of economic collapse and political turmoil has triggered one of the largest migration crises in the world. Millions of Venezuelans have fled their homeland, embarking on perilous journeys to neighboring countries like Colombia, Peru, and Brazil, and beyond. They are teachers, engineers, doctors, and laborers, all seeking refuge and a chance to rebuild their lives from scratch. They walk for days, carrying little more than the clothes on their backs and the heavy weight of leaving everything they've ever known behind. The story of Venezuela is a complex and heartbreaking cautionary tale. It's a story about the dangers of economic dependency, the consequences of political division, and the devastating human impact when a nation's systems fail. It is not just a collection of headlines or statistics, it is the lived reality for millions of people. Their resilience in the face of unimaginable hardship is a testament to the human spirit, but their future remains uncertain. The path forward is unclear, and the world watches, wondering what will become of a nation and its people, caught in the grip of a crisis that seems to have no end. Thank you for watching. If this story moved you, please consider sharing it. Subscribe for more in-depth documentaries that explore the critical issues shaping our world.